Hey health coaches, if you're serious about growing your coaching business and protecting what you're building, you gotta check out Alternative Balance. They support health and wellness professionals with comprehensive liability insurance and valuable member benefits designed to help you run and grow your business with confidence. Alternative Balance's simple online application lets you get covered in under 5 minutes. And here's something exciting: as an exclusive member perk, I will be hosting a live webinar for Alternative Balance members on April 2nd, sharing the 4 steps to booking more clients using Instagram. So if you've been wanting to attract more clients through Instagram in a simple, strategic way, this is for you, and bonus, you get that coverage for your insurance. Be sure to check them out at alternativebalance.com, and when you join, let them know that you heard about Alternative Balance right here on Health Coach Nation. Can't wait to see you inside. Today, I am live with Kim O'Hara. Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. On this show, we talk about marketing, sales, time management, and mindset tips for coaches and online service providers. I'm your host, Hailey Rowe, marketing and sales strategist and coach, and LinkedIn lead gen service provider. And today, before we get into our lovely guest and talking about writing your own book and branding yourself with a book and where would you even start with all of that, I just want to share that you can grab my free weekly planning system to help you get more sales over at haileyrowe.com/time planning. It's all one word. And it's a great system to help you start off your year with what are the top sales generating priorities instead of continuing to get stuck in the busy work, continuing to procrastinate, all of the things. So check that out. All right, so now I'm going to tell you about our guest. She is a book vision strategist, and her name is Kim O'Hara. As I mentioned, she's an award-winning author, writer, and speaker. She has guided over 50 plus thought leaders, founders, and business visionary clients through the daunting journey of book discovery and an author game plan for their brand. Her articles have been featured in notable publications, and she also has been a contributor to the Business Journal's Biz Women CEO World, Life Coach, and Best Self magazines, and has been a repeat contributor to the LA Times LA Affairs. She writes her own biweekly column, Give Yourself Permission, on Substack, which is regularly featured in Rising Literature. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. And tell me a little bit about what made you want to be this book vision strategist.
Well, excuse me. I love what you do because it's really important for us to always be looking at, what we are generating in terms of our business and how we are tracking what people are looking for, and also like what our greatest skills are to bring to people. I've been doing book coaching for 11 years. And before that, for 20 years, I was a movie producer and screenwriter. So I've always been in the job of telling stories. And for that first 20, it was fiction. And then as a book coach, it's been heavily steeped in business books, self-help books, how-to books. And recently, in the last year with the book vision strategist, that came to me through my own clients who said to me, you really help us with the vision. You really help us to see why we're doing this. You help us to understand the passion behind all the time that we're going to put into this book. You talked about your helping tool for people with time. Writing a book takes a lot of time. And if you're going to put a lot of time into it, you want to make sure it's something that you're going to want to talk about a lot. And if you're going to talk about it a lot, kind of want to know how that's going to generate you either directly income or indirectly. And so I really felt in the last year that for me, it was the beginning piece. It was the sitting down and spending, a good first 5 or 6 hours with someone to understand what their book's about, why they're doing their book, and then kind of make sure they write that first draft, because that's the hardest thing to get out. I say without a book, there's, you can't talk about a book if there's no book. And then from there, they can go on to other resources that I help them with, like editors and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like I've put my little hands all over their creation, and that it's going out in the world in a professional way.
Yes. And I'm sure that one of the questions you get, because this is something that I see as a theme, is so many coaches and service providers have a lot of passions, a lot of topics, a lot of interests, and they may struggle with what topic should I pick for my book? What is the most on brand? What's going to be the one that people want to read the most? How does someone go about deciding, like, where should I even start with thinking about a topic or where I'm going to go with this book?
That's an excellent question. And the vision comes from really what lights you up and what is lighting other people up. What is the pattern that you're starting to see? Someone is saying to you, I love when you speak on X, or I really appreciate your expertise here. And you start to realize you have this body of work that you want to share. What makes people stumble before they even begin is that they don't trust it's enough. They're like, well, that might not be enough to talk about. So I'm going to throw in these 17 other things that I'm also good at. And now the book is this convoluted mess. It's everything in the kitchen sink. And that loses readers. Something I like to explain to people when they want to do that is a book is only 200 pages, maybe 300, which is too long for self-help. But by the time they get done with that 200 pages, what's the one one thing you want them to really remember? Because they're going to read 10 more books after they're done with your book. And you want something lasting, right? And that's hard to do if you're putting too much in your book.
Yes, I see the same thing when I read client newsletters. Sometimes they try to cram everything they ever wanted to say to their audience in that one newsletter, and then the message gets completely distilled because it's like, well, hold on, you're telling me about this event you're doing, and then you're telling me about this recipe of the week, and then and it's like,
Right. It's
wow,
like a franticness to get it all
yes,
in. And it's like you lose
yeah.
people, right?
Right. And so I think you bring up a good point that a lot of times that comes from, oh my gosh, it's not going to be enough. How does somebody who feels like, well, who's going to want to read a book from me? Like I'm not enough, or I need more experience first. At what point do you think someone should write a book, and how do you conquer that limiting belief?
That's a great question because generally when people come to me to write a book, it's been between 5 and 20 years that they've been having the book speak to them and they've been ignoring the voice. It's generally if a book keeps knocking, it's not going to stop until you answer the door. And I like to say that there's a lot of people that'll never want to write a book. Those are those people. And then there's the people that want to write a book. And so you have to go forward first with your desire. There are a lot of professionals like myself, and there's other capable professionals that are there to help you do all that shaping of your writing and of your voice. You will not just go out and vomit on a page and go right to print. It never happens. There's so many iterations. So of course it's natural to think like, why does anybody want to hear from me? What do I really have to say? How am I even going to do this well? By the time you start to get into the process and you realize how much work a book is, and it's gratifying and it opens you up and you see all these other paths in your life and you have a voice and you realize who you are, you're so psyched and you've put in so much time and money, you stop having those thoughts because at this point you're in it to win it. Like you can't even stumble anymore.
Yeah, I love that. Yes. What about once you have a book? How does it elevate a brand? What can you do with it? Tell me a little more about that.
If anybody's interested in doing like a TED Talk, even if it's like TEDx, one of the smaller venues, or you are interested in doing like the big TED, generally those people have books or are thinking about writing books or have like a message that they've been branding that is inevitably going to be a book. And it's really it's a way of saying what I have to say is so important that I need to get it out to millions of people. There was a money I don't know if I'd call him a coach or a guru, this guy, John DeMartini, and he's written like 40 books or something. And I saw him speak in LA. He's sort of like a Tony Robbins-ish kind of guy. And he talked about how he writes books or he does certain programs or he creates products based on the like 100x factor. I think it was 100. Like he doesn't want to just serve 10 people. He wants to serve hundreds of thousands of people. And the best way to do that is with a book.
Yeah. And it can really open up doors for speaking opportunities. As you said, a lot of times the speakers will have books or they'll get paid more if they have a book. And it gives you almost like a lead magnet. So one of the things we talk
Yeah,
about in business is having some way to give free value up front to grow your email list. However, a book, obviously you can still use that as a way to give value up front and nurture, and then maybe lead into your bigger ticket items and things like that. Have you seen that?
that's right. Oh, all the time. I mean, people, when they come to me, I will always say to them, and they won't have it when they come to me. And I'll say, what's your system? Like, what's your process? Like, what are we trademarking? What are we branding? What are we saying that they're going to get so that they can then go to your website and they can see an offering that's either like a workshop or an online course that is matching that same title or that same brand. Like you're building like a media stream, right? Of places, different entry points where people can tap in. And people have said to me, they said, well, should I just do like a downloadable PDF on the website? Nobody wants to download a PDF on a website. People want to go to an audiobook. People are like now trained that they want like the real deal. They want your book on Spotify. They want to be able to read your book. They want to be able to hold it. They want to read it on Kindle. Nobody wants to download an 80-page PDF. It just doesn't have enough cred.
Yeah. Okay. So having that gives you that extra bit of credibility. People don't want a long document they have to read through potentially. They want more of an experiential thing, which could be a book or an audio or a video or something like that. And what about common like mistakes or myths that you have to dispel when you're working with clients on their book? What kind of common things are you seeing?
I often see people confused about what is the difference between a memoir and a like memoir self-help book. And I always have to explain there is no such thing as a memoir self-help book. We do not want to be helped and hear about you for 45 pages. It's okay to tell your story of how this affected you a little, but nobody's that interested in much more than just their sort of signature story of how you came to know this information. And then they really want to hear lots of other stories about other people that you've either met or coached or trained or healed, whatever it is your career path is. And people are like, well, like I should tell more of my story. I'm like, we get it. Like we get it. And you're on the back because really what they're trying to do is they're trying to make what's on the back of the book jacket longer. It just belongs
Yeah.
on the back of the book jacket.
Exactly. Well, and that rule of make it about them, make it useful for them, that applies to everything with marketing. It's really
It
not
does.
always, it's not about you. Yes, you want to establish credibility and let people know if you have a very interesting story to tell. Yeah, we want to hear it, but tying it to the bigger picture for the reader and for them. And what about with the process of writing a book? To me, I think many people probably just defeat themselves up front and be like, it's way too long. It's going to take me forever, and they kind of get in their own way and probably procrastinate and then never do it. Or as you said, they wait 20 years and then they show up to you and they're like, okay, I'm finally ready. So
Hmm.
how does somebody break down this project in a way that doesn't constantly cause them overwhelm?
So I have a free resource on my website called From Overwhelmed to Organized, and it was really carefully crafted when I created my offer, which is my book roadmap intensive, which is how I work with clients now. And the Overwhelmed to Organize, it will, in a short video, 15 minutes, and like a couple worksheets that come to you by email, really give you clarity about what you're writing this book about. And that's really number one. And then when they engage me, we do the most important thing, which is the outline. When you have a tight outline that you can then continue to reference and check back in, you can write a first draft of a book in 3 months. It's a chapter a week. And you just have to commit to it. You have to tell yourself it's not forever. I'm going to spend this 8 to 10 hours a week. And a lot of people go, oh my God, 8 to 10 hours a week. I don't have that. You do. You just can't go to Pilates, or, maybe don't go to dinner with your girlfriends for that one short period of time. And then once you have the book, then you can figure out, okay, how do I want to do the second draft? And I often say to people, don't then decide you're going to be your own editor and you're going to tinker. Tinkering can turn into 5 years. And then you've got to start the book all over again. You can have a book from stem to stern in 8 months or faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What about with AI? Are you utilizing that? Are you against that? What's kind of the latest with that?
I do not use AI in any kind of process aside from research with fiction books. I'm currently dabbling in a fiction book I'm writing, a romance book. And so there is some research that I have to do related to the characters. That's okay. I did a test and I tried to run an outline I had done for a client, which is like a in-person 5-hour verbal exchange through ChatGPT to see what ChatGPT thought. And ChatGPT spit out like the most homogenized, standardized outline ever. I was just like, oh my God, I hope people don't start writing books like this because it was so ununique. And sure, you can get to know your chat GPT and you can start saying, can you zhuzh this up? Can you make this more personalized? And it could work. Like with enough work, it could work for you. But why wouldn't you just do the work? Why would you do it? It just doesn't make sense to me. I think it's great for research, but I don't, and I think it's good for LinkedIn posts, but I do think you do need to go in and add your own personal voice.
Right. Yeah. And why are people reading your book? They want to know your unique take or your
That's
advice.
right.
Yeah. So if they wanted ChatGPT's advice, they go to ChatGPT and say, hey, can you give me advice about blank? And I think we can, as you said, use it as a tool to
Hmm.
enhance the journey, but still putting your creativity in there and what makes you stand out. And what about with publishing? Because I've had actually a couple different guests I've talked to throughout the years, and some are really into self-publishing your own book, and others have publishing deals. So, can you tell me the difference between the two and kind of what you've done in the past?
Sure, sure. I mean, I personally, at this moment as an author, I've written a self-help book but I've written just the proposal. I haven't written the whole book yet because I wrote an iteration of the book that I decided to move on from to make a different book. And that one I'm looking for an agent, and I've only done the proposal, which is what I highly suggest if you're going to go the publishing route, is to do the proposal first and test it out. If you know you want to self-publish or hybrid publish, which is what we kind of refer to it as now, which is a partnership with a company that has distribution. Really, the goal is what is the experience you want to have? How many collaborators do you want to have? Which is what traditional publishing is going to be. How much time do you want to wait? Which is a long time for traditional publishing. And if you want to self or hybrid publish, like what are you willing to put behind that book for it to be out there in the world? Because with self-publishing, and you might do only Amazon and Barnes and Noble, you're really the only driver of that book. You are not a distributor. When you're in hybrid, you can align with a company that might have like a deal with Penguin and they distribute through Penguin. So you have a little bit more of a leg up, but often they want you to pay them a lot of money for that, which I don't love that model. And so it really just depends on how much you want your fingers in it, how few collaborators you want, and how fast you want it done.
Hmm. Okay. So it depends on what you want, what your goals are, how much work you want to do, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
What about when it comes to promoting the book? Is there anything fun that either your clients have done or you've done when you've launched a book that you think people might want to hear about?
Yeah, there's a great I just went to a great event here in LA for Deborah Whitman's book. She is the chief marketing officer for AARP. And she had a book event in someone's living room in Beverly Hills. And like lots of fabulous women came that are all quite successful in their second 50s. It's midlife. And it was casual and fun and just had conversations with people. And she spoke and someone interviewed her and it was really like light and it was really and like I really believe the wave of book success is going to come from these more organic connections and these salons. I feel like we're going back to the salon, we're going back to the living room, we're going back to where a group of women can spread the word for you and really help your book go. Now, I'm not precluding men, this can happen for men too, and it can happen in co-ed environments as well. But this particular experience was female driven. Book signings, I think if you're a big name, a book signing matters. If you really just don't have a big name, you're just trying to kind of get 17 of your friends to come, and I just think it's a lot of work for not a lot of play. So I would really be thinking about like community with your book.
Yeah, love that. Yes,
Yeah.
and events and experiences. What about where can people, if they're listening to this and they're thinking about, oh, I want to check out that resource or I want to work with Kim, how can they find you and connect with you?
Thank you for asking that. It's kimohara.com. So it's really simple, OHARA.com. The resource Overwhelm to Organize is right on the front. And you go into a little system and then you're prompted to either set up a call with me when you're done, or just enjoy the resource, and come when you're ready. And yeah, I'm on Instagram at Kim O'Hara Coach.
Amazing. What's next for you, Kim?
I am waiting on this deal for this book and looking forward to serving fabulous clients this year.
Love that. Amazing. Well, thank you for being here. And for anybody listening to this episode, obviously check out Kim. And if you like the show, please feel free to share it and tag us on Instagram. I'm on Instagram at Hailey_Rowe. And we'd love to know if you listen to the show. Thanks so much. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you for having me.